Hey there everybody, it is Dr. Brian here at the Chiropractic Movement, and today is going to be our first Tuesday tidbit. And I want to take Tuesdays, so hopefully every Tuesday or several Tuesdays every single month, to share just some concepts and ideas about health, different strategies or solutions that you as a parent maybe it will help with your child if they're having any learning or developmental issues, neurotypical issues, whatever happens to be, or if you yourself happen to be struggling with any chronic health problems, chronic diseases. Sometimes our mindset is a very pathologic mindset, meaning we're stuck thinking about the label of our disease or our illness or whatever is afflicting or our child or ourselves might be suffering from. And instead, I want to give you a position of power, so to speak, so you can understand the potential that your body has to heal. And in order to do so, I think the most important thing is to give you a little bit of a mindset shift, give you some perspective of how your body really works and what might really be happening. And so today I felt really inspired to start this, number one, because we are back to school. So summer is officially over, at least for the kids. But as parents, I think it's important for us to understand that as seasons are going to start to change or we start to move into the fall and the winter, it's going to be important that we start to get ahead of our health and not look at it as something that's going to suffer, but something that we actually have the potential to optimize before problems really start to set in, okay? So I'm gonna do some very short videos every single Tuesday starting today. And today's, I wanna talk about a very important concept. You're gonna see me looking over to the side because I just read this article and it was from a journal of neurobiology. So basically, the nervous system and the study of life. So basically, how does all that work together? How does our neurology, how does the system that keeps us alive and communicating, how does it really work? And what this study showed was that the nervous system and its development and brain growth were directly linked to movement and sensory inputs. And so where I'm going with that is very simple. What it showed was that if there was lack of or poor movement when babies, children are young, there's a very short window for them to be able to recover from whatever movement or sensory input deficit there was. So basically this, if they weren't moving well, if they weren't receiving healthy information into their bodies, which would then transmit into their brain, that as these babies and kids got older, there were certain learning deficits that they would experience. And so that isn't what I want to focus on. The concept that I want to teach you is very simple. Oftentimes we think that if there are problems in our own system or in your child's system, whether you have, let's say, high blood pressure or cholesterol issues or diabetes or metabolic problems or pain issues or arthritis, or if your child has ADHD or if they have autism or if they're on the spectrum or if they have sensory problems, a lot of times we think that we or our child will grow out of that problem, that if there is a period of enough time, the child will simply grow up and they will grow out of that issue. And what this study is validating is that we do not grow out of problems, we grow into problems, right? So I want you to think about that very clearly and very carefully. We don't grow out of problems, our body is not going to correct itself, but we're gonna grow into that problem. And that is very concerning for two reasons. Number one, it means that the potential that your child may have had, that they're never going to experience that potential because at some stage their brain has missed that window of development, and it's a window that shuts and it doesn't necessarily open back up. It's also very concerning for a second reason. If that window never opens, that means that the ceiling that your child has to learn and grow and develop and the things that they're going to get to experience in this world, the ceiling is much, much lower. And so I think this is very important to share because as parents, if we are looking to fulfill our child's potential, it doesn't always mean that we're going to the right schools or that we're doing the best after school program or that they're playing the most sports. What's really important is that your child is getting the best movement and sensory input, and that is actually integrated into their system, okay? So I want to end today's by kind of just focusing on what does growing into a problem look like at a very young age, right? Meaning like even as an infant, and what does it look like as an adult? Because there are some very significant chronic health issues that we face every single day, right? That the population faces. So I want to make sure that you're aware of these things and understanding that there is a massive epidemic of growing into, whether it be neurologic issues, metabolic, physical, whatever it happens to be, there's a lot of things going on. Okay, so if you have an infant, if you have a baby, growing into a problem looks like colic, looks like difficulty nursing, looks like torticollis or stiff neck, looks like your baby or infant still has primitive reflexes that shouldn't still be present at a certain time of their life. It looks like they struggle to form words, that they struggle to have tummy time, that they struggle to hold their head up. They struggle to do the basic things that a baby or infant should do. And so as they continue to get older, growing into these issues looks like things like ADHD, like behavioral oppositional disorders, like sensory processing disorders, like autism or spectrum disorders, right? This is a lack of something in the system and the body adapting into it to allow their system to try to thrive as much as possible, okay? So that's what growing into it may look like for a child or an infant, and very important to be aware of these things so that you can do different things. You can have occupational therapists, you can have physiotherapists, you can seek advice and guidance and treatment from a chiropractor who can optimize the nervous system communication from your baby's brain to the rest of their body, right? And try to restore some of that communication so they don't grow into it. If you're an adult, okay, and this is really key because a lot of times, even as adults, I think we just wait and at some point in our lives, we attribute our issues to age, right? The aging process. And certainly, I'm gonna tell you, I took the entire summer off from the gym, and getting back into my workouts has been really, really tough. And part of that has to do with age, but really, most of it has to do with neglect. I was neglecting getting proper movement. So what it looked like was pain and discomfort, okay? But I want to give you a more, hopefully this picture makes pathology or illness or disease make a little bit more sense. If I was to have stopped working out entirely, right? And if I was to start an unhealthy diet, processed foods, trans fatty foods, a lot of gluten or whatever inflammatory foods are out there, growing into that problem would look like high blood pressure. It would look like diabetes. It would look like arthritis. It would look like metabolic syndrome. It would look like any of these things that the population comes to believe is normal, okay? And it's entirely not normal. It's very common because there is an entire population of people growing into these problems, right? Not growing out of them. And those issues, high blood pressure, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, any of these things, they are your body's example of adaptation, right? So as I tell all of my patients, every single thing that happens is actually perfect. If I wasn't eating well, if I was deconditioned, if I was gaining weight, my heart would have to work harder. My hormones would have to work differently. And as I store more inflammation in the system, my joints would have to start to hurt, right? Arthritis and any type of autoimmune disorders, those things would have to start to happen in order for my body to let me know that things were not happening the way that they were supposed to happen, right? Those are examples for adults of growing into your problems. And so as I wrap this one up, again, I didn't want to make these ones too long. I want you to think about where you are with your health. Have you grown into certain illnesses, certain thoughts about how your health is going to be now that you are quote unquote older, now that your body is aging, right? I want you to think about it if you're a parent. Are there certain things that you are aware of in your child? Are they not focusing the way that they should? Are they not learning the way that they should? Are they not developing, whether it's movement patterns, whether it's speech patterns, whether it's postural patterns? Are there things that are happening in their system that just aren't normal for them, right? There's a lot of things that are common, but let's not mistake common with normal, okay? So today's concept is We don't grow out of our problems, our different stressors of life, we grow into them. Look for the adaptations that are happening, whether it's to you as an adult, as a parent, or even if it's happening to your child. These are things, these are issues, these are conditions that are considered pathologies, but they're not sicknesses. They're your body's natural adaptation. And there's only one way to undo something that's maladaptive, and that's to give your body the care, the nourishment, and the treatment that it needs. So I hope this has helped. First Tuesday tidbit. I look forward to sharing with you more. To all the parents out there, if your kids are back to school, we have summer still left for us. I'm about to go outside and enjoy it. I hope you do too. Catch up with you guys either later this week, at the very latest next Tuesday, for another Tuesday tidbit. Take care, you guys.